with major back-and-forth jumps between the brands seeing the company restabilizing the rosters while looking to create an unpredictable feel on who is the next unexpected name to show up. A strong response was expected tonight to balance the rosters, with Raw on Monday seeing the debuts of Chris Jericho and the full Un-Americans group of Test, Christian and Storm, opening SmackDown with Rey Mysterio's second televised match in the company after debuting last Thursday, going 7 minutes against Tajiri to see the show opening higher than the recent average with over 4.3 million viewers, followed by a strong jump in the second quarter for a Kurt Angle Hulk Hogan confrontation, with Angle making headlines during the week in several media interviews talking about the possibility of him making an Olympic wrestling return to go after another gold medal in time for the 2004 Olympics, with Angle, who just recently signed a new 5-year contract with the company, saying that he will make the decision until the end of the year, with part of the agreement in his new deal being that he has the option to notify the company a year in advance to give him the time off to get into Olympic shape, noting that it's a tough situation as he doesn't want to be written off after establishing himself as one of the top stars in the business, with his value to the company now higher than ever, with the realization of Rock never working a full-time road schedule again and Austin's sudden departure from the business, saying that he retired in '96 before hitting his peak and wants to find out if he can still do it at the highest level, bringing up his recent exchange with Lesnar as an encouraging sign, saying that he beat the much heavier 2000 NCAA champ Lesnar despite being out of the game for 5 years, along with noting that he routinely took down Big Show in a similar challenge in late 2001, with the Angle-Hogan confrontation scene both looking to get a match against Lesnar to book the Hogan vs. Angle rematch for a shot at Brock for later tonight, picking up strong for the Angle-Hogan segment, with SmackDown hitting over 5.2 million viewers by 8:25 p.m. to drive it to the most watched first half hour of the show in almost 2 months since June 13. Lesnar vs. Mark Henry was next, with Brock going over in a 3-minute match building him up to the SummerSlam main event, with Brock weeks before his first worldwide pay-per-view main event is set to headline what is set to be one of the biggest events of the year in front of 60,000 people in Australia next Saturday, with the current card for the show set to be headlined by the first Rock vs. Lesnar match, with Triple H as of now likely not wrestling due to his recent elbow surgery to be healthy in time for SummerSlam 3 weeks later, followed by a unique 4-minute backstage segment featuring 3 separate angles being filmed in one shot, with Lesnar confronting both Hogan and Angle to build the hype for both matches, with Rock, who is not scheduled for either TV show over the next week on the way to the Australian tour, is set to be back on the Raw show 2 days later to work full-time all the way to the end of the month before starting to film the Rundown movie later in the year, with the WWE meanwhile, after getting massive payoffs and executive producer credits over the last 2 years from Rock's movie studios due to McMahon owning the rights to his name, officially announcing yesterday the launch of the company's first in-house movie studios, currently titled WWE Films, looking to get into the movie business through Rock's demand and promote other top names on the roster to a more mainstream audience, despite Rock likely not being part of any film in the new studios, with SmackDown jumping over 800,000 viewers to close the first hour for the second Hogan vs. Angle match in the rematch of the King of the Ring pay-per-view, going 11 minutes, with Hogan going over after a DQ finish to set up the first Hogan vs. Lesnar match for next Thursday in what is scheduled to be Hogan's final match for the foreseeable future, seeing Angle vs. Hogan bumping the show into the 6 million viewers range for the first time on the night. Rikishi vs. Steven went 3 minutes over the second half of the top of the hour quarter, along with the continuation of the Bischoff-Stephanie angle, with Eric thrown out of the building earlier, including Stephanie blaming Stacey for letting Eric get into her office, and seeing several SmackDown performers watching the Michaels injury angle from last Monday's Raw, followed by a Jamie Noble promo with Nidia going after Cole on commentary. SmackDown's second hour following the strong jump for the Hogan vs. Angle match crossing past 9 p.m., stayed steady for the next 45 minutes on the way to the promoted Rock vs. Edge main event, with both yet to make an appearance throughout the night, averaging nearly 5.9 million viewers and a strong increase of 1 million viewers over the first hour's 4.9, closing the third half-hour of the night with a match between the two former OVW tag partners Cena and Rico going 2 minutes, ending with Billy and Chuck's interference to start a potential new direction with the tag titles now moved to Raw. Eric Bischoff was back just before the main event, sitting in the crowd to continue to build the heat between the brands in an angle playing off several situations which almost legitimately took place during the Monday Night Wars, with Eric planning at one point to send Hall and Nash to sit front row at a WWF show, and Ric Flair almost showing up in the crowd at the Unforgiven pay-per-view in April '98 while still under WCW contract right after his public dispute with the company, seeing Stephanie announcing the latest major jump between the brands, with Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero jumping to SmackDown, countering the moves of Jericho and the Canadian group last Monday, with legit negotiations going on behind the scenes between Raw and SmackDown head writers Heyman and Gowertz on the trade to set up the direction of each brand, with Gowertz pushing to work with two of his closest performers since entering the company in Jericho and Christian, with Raw said to be the more storyline-driven entertainment show, while Heyman was looking to boost his plans for a more straightforward wrestling program by getting two of the best workers in the company along with their previous history of working in ECW in the mid-90s, changing the originally advertised Rock vs. Edge main event to a Rock and Edge vs. Benoit and Guerrero tag match, with Rock making his first appearance of the night exactly at 9:45 p.m. to open the final quarter, going 13 minutes to peak the night with over 6.4 million viewers and the most watched segment on SmackDown since Rock's TV return match against Kurt Angle on July 18. With the show overall, despite the drop in the rating to a 3.1, actually increasing in viewership to over 5.4 million viewers, ending up in an unexpected finish with Benoit making Rock tap to the crossface after Lesnar's distraction to continue the build to the eventual Rock vs. Brock confrontation on the way to the SummerSlam headliner, closing the broadcast with Hogan getting Lesnar back for the past 2 weeks in the final hype for the big main event of next Thursday, with the first Hogan vs. Lesnar match set to headline the show on August 8.